Hello and welcome back everyone, this is Drennan with more Warframe, with more tutorials for Warframe, because now we are actually gonna go to the more probably interesting consoles and some more gameplay related stuff. Before I start with explaining, this time I won't do it at the end of the video. Down in the description you will have quick links to different topics in the video, so if there's only one particular thing that you're interested in, you are more than welcome to just jump there and just check out whichever you want to actually know. So what are we gonna have a look at now? So we covered everything that's up there in our ship, so it's now time to look at what is happening down here in the orbiter. There is 4 stations here that you can use. The Foundry over there, which is currently working, the mod console over here, which is steaming at me, then we have the Incubator there with my cute little armored Kubrow sitting in it, and then we have the arsenal there in the back. The Sentinel there is just for show, it is a Sentinel that you have recently equipped. So I will start off with the Foundry and then talk a bit about the mods, and then in the next video I will get to the arsenal and talk a bit more about items, about equipping items, and I will also talk a bit about which items I personally would recommend for a new player. So the Foundry. When you have the Foundry installed and you will want to build something, you might get lost and not even know what the thing wants from you. So again, as all the other things, the items that you can build are up here separated in different tabs that let you sort them out. So you have one tab that has everything, one tab that only shows you the items that are in progress and or done building and can be claimed. Then you have items that are ready to build, which means items that you have all the required materials for. Then you have Warframe items, primary weapon items, secondary weapon items, melee items, all the possible Archwing items, everything that's related to Sentinels, landing crafts, appearance items, which are for the most part cosmetic only. I'm actually not sure, there is some more arcane stuff which actually affects your stats. I did not get any of that yet because that is only obtainable in the 8 player rates. And then there's those arcane helmets which are not obtainable anymore unless you have someone who trades them with you, because those have been taken out of the game. So I will, before I even go through everything else, I will really quickly talk about those. Those helmets change your stats. For example, the Arcane Phoenix helmet for Ember. So it says this helmet is worn by Ember, reduces shields in order to boost energy capacity. So you have more energy but less shields when you wear this helmet. Style-wise, those helmets are still in the game, but they don't do anything anymore. Let's see, yeah, for example, the Storm Volt helmet. You can see this is the Arcane version of it. And down here is the normal version of it. They look exactly the same, but the arcane one actually affects your stats. Those are taken out of the game because the devs did not want cosmetic items to also change your stats, but they have had left them in because those helmets are actually can be acquired with platinum or could be acquired with platinum, so I guess they did not want to hurt the players who bought them for the stat effect, so they were able to keep them.
Will you begin another mission?
So yeah, under appearance there is cosmetic stuff only, then you have gear which you can equip to your Warframe. You have keys, which are the various keys that you need to access various nodes, as well as those corrupted keys that I talked briefly about when I was talking about the derelict and also about the market, as well as, for example, keys to access the various Orokin derelict missions. The Tethra ciphers are yet another item of them. Law of Retribution is one of the 8 player rates, and so on. And in the last tab there is Miscellaneous, which contains various things, but also important things, which is why I will actually start here. But first, at the bottom you can see there is a couple more fields to click. There is a tutorial, which again will lead you right away to the text tutorial. It will explain to you. I hope I never looked at it actually. It actually doesn't explain much to you. I'm just skimming the text. Yeah, there's not really much said there which you can't quickly find out yourself. Then there is a tab for arcanes, which is, as I said, it is ones that you get from raids. I have not a single one yet. Since I'm not much of a raid fan, I don't really feel like going through for me it is trouble to find a decent group to do that. You can do it with randoms, of course. Nothing wrong with that. But then there's also the components tab, and this one is fairly important because you can quickly check how much you have of what. So those are all the different building materials that are in the game. Also contains some of the prime parts. And I would like to really quickly go over the components at the top and tell you how to obtain them so that you know how to actually get them and what they are for. So there is, as I mentioned when we were looking at the market, there's common materials and rare materials. You can, for the most part, see by how many of them I have if they are common or not. So alloy plates, as you can see, I have way more than 999,999, but the counter seems to stop there, are a common material. Circuits are, I would call them uncommon, but for the most part only because they only drop on 2 different planets, which I have not gone too often yet, but still I have a decent amount of them. Control modules used to be really rare, but they drop like crazy in the void. So if you need control modules, go do void missions. That's the best way to get them, really. Cryotic is obtained in excavation missions. Delta beacons, so all the beacons actually, be it Delta, Gamma or Kappa, are dropped by enemies on the Ceres planet. They are needed to build a key to get to a particular Grineer boss. So those are a very special resource that you only need for that. Detonite, as well as Fieldron and Mutagen, are 3 resources that are needed solely for clan tech weapons. Detonite is used for Grineer weapons, Fieldron for the Corpus weapons, yes, and Mutagen for the infested weapons. Those are a very special case because what you find in missions are the Detonite ampules, the Fieldron samples and the Mutagen samples, but those are not the items that you need in order to craft something. You need the Detonite injectors, the Fieldron, and for Mutagen is Mutagen mass, which I don't have yet. How do you get those? Well, you craft them. And I will show you in a bit when I get to the tab how you craft them. But you basically need 10 of the small ones to build one of the ones that you need. So 10 mutagen samples among other things to build a mutagen mass, and then you need a couple of those to build the clan tech item. So then we have ferrite, again a common resource. We have gallium, which is a rare resource which still drops a fair bit on the planets where it drops. The Lephantis nav coordinates are needed to build the coordinates for the boss in the Derelict, and they only drop in the other Derelict missions. So you need those to get to the boss, which is where you get the Necros Warframe. The Morphics are a rare resource, which you can fairly quickly get on the Mars missions, though they seem to drop there a fair bit. The Mutalist LV nav coordinates are another special kind of nav coordinates that you need to create a key, and they only drop in infested incursions. So only when the infested attack somewhere you can get them as a reward for doing the missions 3 times. I explained that in the first video. So you have, if you need those, you have to watch out for those particular infested outbreaks and do the mission 3 times in order to get 1 coordinate, and you need 4 to make a key. Then we have nanospores, again a common one. Nav coordinates are, I don't have that many of those, but you really don't need too many because they drop in every mission, no matter where you do it, and I think you need 3 or 5 to build 1 derelict key. So as you can see, I can build a couple hundred keys with the nav coordinates that I have laying around. So you get more of those than you would ever need really if you keep doing missions. Neural sensors and neurodes are two more rare resources that you can run out fairly quickly because they are used for Warframes a fair bit, but when you know where, you can get them fairly quickly as well. Nitaine is a new resource that can only be obtained in alerts, and the alerts pop up roughly every 6 hours. There's one going on right now actually, but I may or may not do that later. As you can see, I have still 10 of those, so while they are tied to alerts, you can still kinda check when the next one will be. From my observations, it's roughly every 6 hours. Another kind of beacon. The Omega isotopes are used for a special kind of alert that is Archwing related, and you can drop those in the void, I think, when the particular event is running. They might even drop out of the void, I'm actually not sure, because I never bothered. Actually, the description, sometimes reading helps, really people read. As you can see, it says here, produced by a Fomorian's power core, these particles only appear on or around planets where a Fomorian is present. What is a Fomorian? It's basically a giant Grineer battleship that you have to destroy, which is, in my opinion, one of the coolest Archwing missions ever. So what you do is in those missions you do a run on it and damage it a bit, and if you don't destroy it in time, you usually have 2 or 3 days to do that, it will destroy the relay it is on. So on the planet where the Fomorian appears, you can get those isotopes, which you need to build an item that you need to even be able to damage the massive thing. So another kind of very special resource. Orokin archives are, well, it says archive detailing the locations of hidden Archwing technology, so you find those during the Archwing quest, no need to worry about those. Orokin cells is a rare resource that you need quite a bit of, because you need them for every prime item there is, or almost every prime item there is. There's a couple that you can build without them. I will show you when I get there how that works. Oxium is a special resource that can only be obtained from Corpus missions and only from their Oxium Ospreys, which are kinda a special case, because those things, for some reason, someone thought it would be a good idea to have some suicide bomb on you. So they charge you, when they touch you they explode, and then they don't drop anything, so you have to kill them before that happens. Plastids, again, I would say an uncommon resource. When you do the planets where they are on, you usually get quite a few of them. Polymer is fairly common. Proof fragments are gathered through the Limbo Theorem quest, if I recall correctly. So again, a quest-related drop. Rubido was once the bane of everyone, because you need them for every Warframe, and back when I started, I actually needed days to get enough Rubido for a single Warframe. By now this is not an issue anymore, and a good way to get them is actually void missions again. Savage, as you can see, I have 500,000 of those, again a common resource. Tellurium is a resource that can drop, it's a really rare one actually, in every Archwing mission. If you're lucky you get a couple of those in a mission, but often you just don't. You need them not only for Archwing stuff so they are not that unimportant. Tessera data fragments I still have laying around. You needed them for a long gun event. And that was it, I think, for the normal resources. Then you have a lot of prime parts here. Chitinous husks are needed for the Jordas Precept quest. You will come across those then. And as you can see here, you have the nav segments that I talked about during the navigation. So those are the segments that you drop from a boss. When you defeat them, you get the nav segment, you put it into your navigation, then you can access the planet. And as you can see, like Eris, I have done the boss that drops that one quite a few times, as well as a couple others. Then you can see the Exilis adapter, which is needed to enable an extra slot for an extra mod slot, sorry, for your Warframe, which again I will talk more about that when I get to the arsenal. And then we have more prime parts. We have the festive interior decorations, which is my Christmas decoration that you have seen in the cockpit. Formas, I will talk about what those are for when we get to the Arsenal. Again, Arsenal, that's where everything comes together. Obviously, the Foundry segment, which you will get during the War's prize quest, my genetic code template, I talked about this when we were in the market, and so on. The Incubator segment, this is more stuff that you need for the Jordas Precept, the Infected Palpators. More parts, more parts, more parts. The nice Zen collar here will be given to you during the Kubrow quest. And yeah, there's all the different things here, as you can see. One thing that I'd really quickly like to talk about is the Orokin Ducats here. I will talk about those more when I show you a relay. They are essentially obtained by selling your prime items to a trader. He will give you the ducats and he comes every 2 weeks, and then you can exchange the ducats at him for special items that only he offers. Currently, for some reason, there's boosters as well, which is nice for the people who don't want to trade with others to get the platinum to get them, or just can't afford the platinum, or don't want to. So that's it for the components tab. So it's good to have a quick overlook of the materials that you have. It is also automatically sorted. First you have the building materials up to tellurium, and then all the parts and other things come up here. So that's it for the components. So what's all the other things about? So all of this is separated into different tabs. So if you're looking you want to check if you can build a particular item, you can just go to the specific tab and then just get that. So let's have a quick look at the in progress bar. As you can see, those are the items that are done and that I have not claimed yet, and the items that are still being made. So when an item is ready, it says ready to claim, and there it says claim. What you just do is you click it, assuming that the server plays along, and then it says build item added to your inventory, and you click OK, and then you have it in your inventory and can build another one of it. Because you can always only build one kind of item once. For example, Forma, I have more than 100 blueprints of them, but I can only build one at a time. And you will probably notice that there's a time running down here. Items have a build time. This is real life time, this is not online time, so I have to wait another almost 16 hours until this Forma will be done. I can, if I choose to, rush it with 10 platinum. If it is beyond 50%, I believe, then the rush cost is half. But still, I usually just wait. And as you can see, when I go to miscellaneous again, Forma, I cannot build another one until this one is done. And the Orokin generators and catalyst would also Orokin reactors and catalysts would also be in this tab if I would still have any blueprints for them, which I don't. So I will start here at the back with miscellaneous before I go to the weapons and warframes, because this should be done fairly quickly here, for example, and also I just happen to look at it. Here is the blueprint for the detonite injector. You can buy the blueprints in the dojo, and here you can see what you need to build one of them, and it takes 12 hours to build one. Down here, the incubator power core, for example, only takes 8 hours, so the build time depends on the item that you build. A Forma takes 24 hours, for example. Another thing that I would like to show you with the incubator power core is another kind of resource, so-called argon crystals. You can see I currently have none of those, which does not mean that I never found any of them. I found plenty of them, but they are a special case. Argon crystals only drop in void missions, and they are a rare random drop. The special thing about them is every day around the daily reset, when that exactly is, you'd have to figure out. By our time, I'm in Germany, it happens at, I believe, 1 AM. So every time the daily reset happens, half of your argon crystals are going away. Which essentially means you can't pile up on them. So what I usually do is, if I have stuff that I want to build, I check how many I need, and then I farm all of them at once, or try to anyway, and then I build the stuff. So there's not much use in piling up argon crystals. If you have 20, you will lose 10 the first day, then 5, then 3, and so on. If you only have 2, then you will lose 1. And if you only have 1, then you will lose it at the daily reset as well. So that's for the miscellaneous tab and a quick explanation of what argon crystals are and how you get them. So now let's go a bit from left to right. Let's go to the Warframe tab. In the Warframe tab you have everything that you'd need in order to build a Warframe. Which means if you have the blueprint for something Warframe related, it will be listed here. For example, you can see I have the blueprint for an Ash Prime chassis and an Ash Prime helmet. I could build those, I won't because those are tradable if I want to, and I already have Ash Prime. Which you can, for example, see here with Banshee. I have Banshee, but I also got the blueprint as a login reward recently, but it tells me that I already own her. So how does this whole Warframe build thing work? Each Warframe consists of 3 parts. It's always helmet, chassis and systems. And Ivara here is a good example for that, because I have all parts for here in blueprint form and her blueprint. So what do you have to do to build a Warframe? You have to build the helmet, the chassis and the systems, which each take 12 hours to build, if you don't rush it. I think it costs 50 platinum, to rush one of the Warframe parts. Also, once you build something, you can cancel it. It will then just run through. So it takes 12 hours to build those parts. You can build them all at once, so that's 12 hours. And as you can see here, Ivara needs an Orokin cell and the 3 parts, the helmet, chassis and systems, and takes 27 hours. And also it costs a bit of credits, seen here in the lower left, in order to build them. So that means the average build time for a Warframe, if you don't rush it, is 3.5 days. Again, this is real time. So if you're incredibly impatient, that will be an issue for you. For me personally, I just keep playing the game as I wait for new stuff. So there's nothing bad about that, really, at least not in my opinion, and also it's a way to... It's a matter of pay for convenience, as some people call it. If you want to rush it, you can, but you have to pay with platinum for it. So that's how Warframe building works. You have to see where you get the part for the Warframe that you want, and then you build the part, and then when you have all of them, you build the Warframe. The same thing goes for the Prime Warframe. Sorry. As you can see here for Make Prime, the difference is just that you have to go to various void missions in order to obtain any of those. For the normal Warframes, you usually can get the blueprint on the market. Ivara is actually the first exception for this from the normal Warframes. You have to get her blueprint as well as the blueprints for her parts in the missions. And for the Prime Warframes, the same thing accounts. You have to find all the parts. You cannot buy a single part of that anywhere on the market. You can trade them with other players, but that's the only way to get them without doing the missions. And that is pretty much it for the Warframe part. The one exceptional Warframe here is the Warframe Equinox, because you have to farm a whole lot of 8 items in order to get Equinox. As you can see here, it says Equinox Day Helmet, and here I have an Equinox Night Chassis. Equinox is pretty much 2 frames in one, a day and a night aspect, and both of them have 3 parts and the blueprint. You have to find all of those, which makes 8 parts, which honestly makes Equinox one of the worst frames to farm, because you are not guaranteed to get a part that you do not have yet. At least though you are guaranteed to get a Warframe part from the boss. So if you're lucky, it's 8 runs. I think I took like 40 to 50. For Equinox, usually it is way less than that because it's only 4 parts. And I will show the whole boss thing as well as saying where you get which Warframe when I'm done with everything actually, and then I will just show you some of the missions as well. So that's for Warframes. Let's go to weapons. The weapons pretty much all work the same as far as building goes, so I will not really talk about those on their own. So let's just talk about primary weapons. The Boar Prime right now is a good example for a prime weapon because it's at the top. Prime weapons work a little bit differently from Warframes. You still need to find 4 parts, but the components are already built. So for example, if you were to look for the Boar Prime, then you need to find 4 parts. You need the blueprint for the Boar Prime, the barrel, the stock and the receiver. The barrel, stock and receiver just drop as already done components, so you will just have them. So if you have all those 4 parts plus 10 Orokin cells, and this is what I meant, Orokin cells, you need quite a lot of those, because most primed weapon need 10 of them to build, and when you have all of that you can just build it. As you can see, the Boar Prime for example takes 12 hours. Weapons usually take 12 or 24 hours, with not really any reasoning behind it. Some take 12, some take 24. That's simply how it works. And then there's also other weapons like the Dread and the Snipetron. Those are normal weapons, and as you can see, those simply require normal materials to build that you can farm in every mission available. So when you are looking for a particular weapon, you best go to the market, and when you want to buy the blueprint, it tells you which resource you need. And as I've shown you in the last video, it also tells you how much of this resource you have and if you already have enough of that. There is one reason why I would still like to go to the other tabs, but I'm actually not sure if I have any of the blueprints here that would be needed to show you what I want to show you. No, I don't. Here's one. Very good. It's another prime one, but it doesn't really matter. There is the so-called dual weapons like the Egg Bronco Prime, which is 2 Bronco Primes pretty much, and it actually needs 2 Bronco Primes as you can see here. So in order to build this weapon, you need to build the Bronco Prime twice first. I briefly mentioned that when I was talking about the market, that there is weapons that require other weapons, but I just wanted to show you that here in the Foundry as well, how that looks when that's the case. So it tells you then that you need the weapon, and if you have it, it checks it there, but I still need another one to even be able to build that. And you'd also need the Egg Bronco Prime link. So those weapons, especially the primed ones, are well, let's say they require quite a bit of patience to make, because you need to farm this one here twice to build this. And also what makes sense to at least level the Bronco Prime once to 30 first, because as I mentioned in the previous video when I was talking about mastery rank, the Bronco Prime will give you mastery points, but the Egg Bronco Prime will give you mastery points as well then, even if you use your Bronco Prime for that's leveled. And no, using a leveled weapon to build another one will not give you any benefit. The weapon is just gone then. So this is something to keep in mind. Personally, I like to just have every weapon, so I still have my Bronco Prime and the Egg Bronco Prime, even though the Bronco Prime is just worse than the Egg Bronco Prime. The double weapons usually have lower accuracy, but they simply have twice the DPS. So they are usually just better in my opinion. As for the Arcwings, sorry, those work similar to everything else. You have to find the parts, for example the Elytron, Arcwing, the blueprint you can buy, the parts you need to find. So when you have found the parts you can build those, and then you can build the Arcwing with them. And for the weapons that are available for that, some of them need parts as well that you can find, and those parts can be found throughout the various Arcwing missions. And then we have the Sentinels. Prime Sentinels works the same way as any other Prime gear. You have parts that you need to find and the Prime Blueprint, and the other Sentinels simply need normal components to be built. Then we have the landing craft parts, where you have pretty much 2 base things that you can build. First is the other landing craft, the Mantis and the Scimitar. I bought both blueprints already, but as you can see, the only part I have is a Mantis engine that I could build if I had argon crystals. And there's also air support charges. Those are kinda nice to use. This is a piece of gear that you can take with you into missions, and the effect depends on the landing craft that you are using. As you can see here, the Mantis, this insect-like landing craft features Met Tower air support. Sounds to me like it is actually healing when you deploy the air support. The Scimitar is blade-like landing craft, is armed with carpet bomb air support. So, as I kinda guessed, it, well, does damage when you use the air support. And you will use a charge, they are called air support charges, so each time you use it, you will use up one of them in order to activate the effect. The default Lisette will automatically hack an alert, which is not too bad. And that is, for the most part, it. No, actually, there's still the gear tab. I talked a bit about gear when we were talking about the syndicates because of the large team restores. So in this tab you have everything that you can put in your Warframe loadout as gear. You have 8 gear slots available. All those things you can put there and then just use within the mission if you want to use it. And then I already showed those, the keys and then the miscellaneous, which contains everything else. So if you have a particular item that you want to build, just check what you need and then check the star chart, the navigation, in order to find out where you have to go to obtain those materials. The ones that are not listed on those tables are argon and tellurium. And oxium actually, so oxium can only be found in corpus missions if they have oxium ospreys. Tellurium can only be found in Arcwing missions. Argon crystals can only be found in void missions. It does not matter which void mission, it does not matter which tier it is, it needs to be a void mission though. And Nitaine can only be obtained via alerts. Everything else will be listed as for where you can find it. And all bosses generally have a chance to drop you an Orokin cell. So that's it for the Foundry. The Foundry is one of the most important parts because you use it to build new weapons, and even if you are willing to spend money for weapons, you cannot simply buy every weapon in the game. There's some that you have to farm, or at least trade for, and then you still have to build them. Like you can trade the syndicate weapons, which are not buildable, you just get the whole thing right away, but the primed weapons you have to build, and you can trade the various parts for them, but I do not think that you can trade the actual weapon itself. So that was the Foundry, and now we are getting to the first rather important console, the mods console. What I will talk about here is mods in general, how you fuse mods, how you transmute mods, and how you sell mods, because this is 3 functions this console provides you with. And about the actual mods themselves, I will talk about those when I get to. You can get it, it's back there, the arsenal, as usual. So let's have a quick look at the mods. You've already seen the category of mods if you watched the previous video about the codex. So you have Warframe mods, you have Aura mods, you have Augment mods, Primary mods, Secondary mods, Melee mods, Stance mods, Arcwing mods, Arc Gun mods, Arc Melee mods, Sentinel mods, Kubrow mods. You have cores, which are fusion cores, and I will talk about what those are about in a few minutes. And then you have duplicates, which are all the mods that you have more than one of. So a few functions here are different kinds of sorting, which is really helpful. You can sort them by recency, rarity, rating, price, name, polarity, type, rank, and duplicates. And then down here you also have the tutorial and the filter, which I actually never used yet. Oh, that's really cool. So you can actually set it to only certain rarities. That's really handy. Good job there, guys. I have not seen that yet. That's really nice. So, what is there to say about mods? As I said, mods are used to improve your gear. How they are used for that, and also what those symbols and numbers in the top right mean, I will explain again when I come to the arsenal, because that makes the most sense. What I would like to show you here is what you can actually do at the mod console. The important things that you can do here, you can see at the top. You can fuse them, you can transmute them, you can sell them. So what is all this for? I will start from the right because fusion is actually the most important one, and I will keep that for the end. So you can sell mod, this is pretty straightforward. So for example, let's take the ammo drum because I have so many of those. I have 316, that's the number in the top left. When I click them, I can choose how many I want to select. I will only choose one. So now, as you can see, fusion and selling are highlighted. And selling also tells me sell one selected mod for 200 credits. So if I click that, it tells me do you really want to sell that for 200 credits? Yes. And then it takes a bit and then it's sold and I have 200 credits more. So that's one function here. The other function that I'd like to talk about is transmuting. It says combine 4 unranked mods for a chance at a rare mod. So what this essentially does is you test your luck and also your patience sometimes. You give up 4 mods and you hope for a better one.
Has been updated with new invasions. Chaos is
the mods that you use are, of course, gone. So when you use only rare mods, these are the gold ones, there is uncommon, I probably should show you that one first. I will set it to recent because then I should have everything covered. So you have the common ones, those are the bronze ones, the uncommon ones in silver and the rare ones in gold. But as you have seen, there's also those ones here, those are like super rare mods that are stronger than the others. So what does transmuting do? It takes 4 mods and gives you a random other mod. If you use more rare mods, then it costs more. You always have to use 4 mods. It says here select 4 mods to begin, or 4 more mods. So I have 0 selected. That makes 4 mods to even do that. If you use common mods, it costs 12,000 credits, uncommon 24,000 credits, and rare ones cost 36,000 credits. I am personally still hoping for rare stance mods for my melee weapons, which again I will talk about in a bit more detail when I get to the arsenal. So I will just use 4 rare mods that I have a couple of, and that won't hurt too much if I throw them away. So I have now selected, as you can see here, it shows the numbers there, how many of them are selected. If I deselect this and maybe take 2 of those, then you will see it shows me a 2 there. So I have currently 2 Thunderbolts selected, 1 Malign and Force and 1 Health Chamber. Now I click Transmute, it shows me the mods again and asks me if I want to do that. I click yes, and then I get another random mod. In this case I got the Ravage mod for shotguns, which is at least rare, but I still have that a couple times, so not really the best thing. So it's pure luck. If you're lucky, you get what you want, or just a new mod, but it's a way to actually try to have a shot at mods. And I don't think there's any mods that you can't get here, so it's really luck dependent. So that's the 2 right options covered here. Then we have fusion. Fusion is pretty much the most important function of this station. What is fusion good for? You can see that all the mods have those little dots at the bottom. For example, Fanged Fuzzolate here, or Fuzzolate, or however it's pronounced, I'm sorry if I do that wrong and you're cringing right now, has 5 bright dots. That means it is on rank 5. Frigid Blast here has 3 grey dots, so it is rank 0 and I can rank it up 3 times. Primed Ravage over here is currently at rank 0, but without counting I'd assume this is 10 dots, which is usually the highest a mod can ever go. But you cannot get a 5 rank a mod like the Arrow Mutation that has 5 ranks any higher than that. When it is at rank 5, it's maxed out. So what does that actually do? Let's go to one of the probably most important Warframe mods that I'd like to show you, because this way then you also know which is an important one, Vitality. As you can see here, I have a couple Vitality mods here. And what Vitality does is, it increases the health of your Warframe. The base one increases it by 40%. So I have one here that has 2 bright dots, so that means it's rank 2, it gives me plus 120% health. So what it does is, what ranking up a mod does is, it increases the effect of the mod. and it decreases the mod by its base value for every rank. So every rank vitality increases the health for an extra 40%. But this does not come for free. The equipment cost of the mod raise, which is shown in the top right. As you can see, it raises by 1 for each rank. And I will talk more about equipment costs when, you can guess it, when I get to the arsenal. So what is Fusion all about? How does it work? Let's say I want to improve my vitality here. So I have a rank 1 vitality at the moment. Actually, no, let's not choose, whatever, let's do vitality. That's fine. So I choose this vitality mod and I want to fuse it. So I click Fusion. Now it still shows me all my mods. Why does it do that? Well, you can toss pretty much every mod in there that you want to use for it. Should you do that? Nope. Not if you ask me. There's two things that I personally use when I fuse mods because it has the biggest effect. One is a copy of the same mod or fusion cores. Fusion cores are only there to be used for fusing. As it says, consumed in the fusion process to power up existing mods, and that's the only thing fusion cores are really good for. And what's important is, the higher the rank of the fusion core, the better it is. So a common rank 0 fusion core will give you less progress towards the next rank than a common rank 3 fusion core, and I will show you that. Let's use one common rank 0 fusion core, so it gets me about half the way. Let's deactivate that and let's take a rank 1 fusion core. Still common. It will get me about 80% of the way to the next rank. Now let's just use a rare rank 0 fusion core and see what happens. As you can see, I got to rank 2 and a bit. So yeah, let's as an example take a rank 5 fusion core. As you see, that would bring my vitality right up to rank 3 and still give me a little bit on the way to rank 4. Also, this little line here indicates which rank is next. So using fusion cores for that is one way to do it, but the other way is use duplicates. You can automatically do that by auto-contributing duplicates or fusion cores here. I personally prefer to do it by hand. Why do I prefer to do it by hand? Well, how many duplicates you need is fairly set if you want. So let's say I want to get this vitality to rank 1 from rank 0. I only need to use one copy of the mod. How many do I need to get to rank 2 now? To get to rank 2 I need 2 more. So let's just use 2 now. As you can see, I am halfway to rank 2. If I use 3, then I'm all the way up. You unfortunately have to deselect them, so you remove them from your choice. And as you can see up here, it also tells you what it does effect-wise to the mod. So rank 1 costs 1 mod, rank 2 is 2 mods, rank 3 you would assume is 3 mods. Nope, unfortunately not. Let's add another 3. So we had 3, and let's add another 3, which would be 6. Only gets you 3/4 of the way. So that means in order to get it from rank 2 to rank 3, you need 4 extra mods. So there would be a total of 7 already. In order to get from rank 3 to rank 4, you need 8 mods, and so on. Rank 5 is 16, rank 6 is 32, rank 7 is 64, rank 8 is 128, rank 9 is 256, and rank 10 then finally would be 512. That's a lot of mods that you would need. But it's also really cheap to do that credit-wise, because you don't only spend mods on leveling something. Also, let me show you the difference in progress with varying mods. So right now I would need only 7 vitality mods to get this mod to rank 4. Which is great, and it cost me 2100 credits. Okay, let's use 7 steel fiber mods. That's surely gonna give us the same. Or not, it barely gets us to rank 2. And also costs the same. So that's not exactly great. So as you can see, using a different mod is not as efficient as using a duplicate. Let's try the same thing with fusion cores. Let's use 7 rank 0 common fusion cores. How far do we get? The same amount for the same cost. But fusion cores are not needed for anything else anyway, so why would you... So you'd of course rather use fusion cores than another mod, because you might still need the other mod for whatever. Now let's use, in comparison, a rare fusion core. As you can see, you get up to rank 3 with only one mod. That's what you needed 7 rank 0 vitalities for, but it also costs you a bit more money. And that's the biggest thing about that. The cheapest way to increase the power of a mod is to use duplicates if you have them. The next best way, in my opinion, then is to use fusion cores, simply because you don't need them for anything else. And in case you're wondering, that's also the reason why I do not have my vitality any higher yet. Let me show you why my best vitality mod is only rank 8 and not rank 9 or 10. So you saw, using vitality mods here, 7 of them cost you 2100, gets you to rank 4. Well, that's all fine and dandy. Let's cancel this fusion. And let's go again to the vitality mods and see how much it would cost to get my rank 8 vitality all the way up. Let's go to fusion. I already said for rank 9 we would need 256 vitalities. I don't have that many, so I will go to fusion cores. And when I click that, it already tells me I would only need 99 rare rank 5 fusion cores, which is the highest ones that you can get in normal missions, to get that up. Well, let's have a go at that. First thing it does is, if I would do that, it would exceed the mod capacity of Volt in one of its configurations, which again I will explain when I get to the arsenal what that means. But it automatically tells you if increasing a mod would make it unable for any of your builds, which is great. You can automatically uninstall it, which is even better, so I'll do that. And as you can see, I have installed it apparently for quite a lot of frames. So this is kinda unfortunate because I don't want to change all my loadouts, but I have a second one which I have hopefully not used in the other frames. So let's try that again. And this does not work either. Well, I guess I will bite the bullet here and show you that this one needs 100 because I fused all those with fusion cores, so the other one was probably a bit higher. So let me show you how much it costs. Actually not as much as I feared it would, but still, it's 350,000 credits. And 100 of my fusion cores. That's a bit. So getting a mod all the way up from rank 0 to max with fusion cores is something like 2 or 3 millions, I think. So this is indeed quite a bit. It costs a lot to up a mod. Actually less than I thought. I thought it would be in the millions. So I guess I'll do that soon with all my mods that I have. But also, so this is 315,000. Let's do the same thing with uncommon mods. I need 162 of those, which means it costs a little bit more. Let's try this with common mods. Or common fusion cores. It costs 390,000. I admit that's way less than I thought it would, but you can see the more mods you use to fuse, the more expensive it gets. So this is basically how fusioning mods works and what it is used for. Let me show you in an actual example where I actually do that and pull through with that. So let's get this vitality up 1 rank. So you click the mod, you go to fusion, and you choose a mod that you want to fuse with it. I will choose a duplicate vitality that I have. Okay, so it shows me this vitality will get to rank 2. It increases the effect from 40 to 80%, it increases the drain from 2 to 3, and does nothing to the conclave rating. The conclave rating is pretty much just a value set for the mod. It is mostly used for the PvP stuff, to rate your gear, but it's also used to scale some of the content in PvE. So the higher your conclave rating, the stronger you are assumed to be by the game. So you want to do the fusion now, so you just click apply fusion. It asks you if you want to do that, you click yes. Then it loads a little bit, and there we have a brand new rank 1 vitality. And that's how fusion works. And that's also what fusion does, and why exactly you'd want to do that, you will see in the next video then. And it works the same for every other mod as well. So the best way to increase a mod's rating and effect is to use duplicates of it, and then fusion cores, and then you can still use other mods if you want and have enough of them. That's pretty much up to you. But in the end, it drains quite a bit of credits, and especially in the beginning, you might want to watch those credits and go with the cheapest way, which is use duplicates. And this is pretty much it for the mod console and for the Foundry. There's one more part of the ship that I'd like to cover in this video before I move on to the much talked about arsenal, because there's a lot to cover there. And that's over here. That's the incubator. You've seen it in the first video. There was first the eggs, then I got my little Kubrow friend here out of his stasis. What is all this about? The incubator is used for currently the Kubrows. There is another kind of furry pet. While he has a bit of a spasm, I guess he's cold, so let's just pet him so he feels better. So there is another kind of furry. He's still, well, freaking out. Whatever. Occasionally happens. There's bugs in every game. So there's another kind coming aside from the Kubrows. I showed you that currently there are 5 breeds of Kubrows that you can have, and having each of them actually gives you more mastery experience with each of the breed leveled. So what can you do here? You see a couple fields that you can choose here. First, the less important ones is, first you can consign your Kubrow for 25,000, then it will just go away and you will sell it and get 25,000 credits. While you do that, I will show you in a bit when we get to the Stasis tab. Then temperament, it shows you something about the kind of Kubrow that you have. That's pretty much the breed that you have. In this case, this Kubrow is a Sahasa. He digs for stuff, which is kind of handy in missions, so he randomly walks off, digs up some credits and stuff that you might need, which can be helpful. Then you have the loyalty here. You can see here a bar with a minus and a plus. Currently he deals 100% more damage. The loyalty decreases each time your Kubrow dies in battle, and you can then get it back up by interacting with him, which is what I just did, and I will gladly do it again. You pet him a bit, he is happy, and you get 20% of his loyalty back for doing that. I think it does cost you 40%. The important thing about this is you can only do this 3 times a day. If he's at 100%, you can do it as much as you want, but you can only increase his loyalty 3 times a day. So if he keeps dying, you might need a couple days to get him back up to full damage. And as you can imagine, it goes all the way up to minus 100, in which case he won't do any damage anymore at all. And up here we also have the DNA integrity, which is affecting his health. As you can see, currently Silas has 95% more health. This one I mentioned when I was talking in the market about the upgrade segment for the incubator. This one lowers usually by 10% per day. If you have the upgrade, only 5%. And if it gets to minus 100%, your Kubrow will die. You prevent that from applying DNA stabilizers, which you can buy for credits and which give you back, I believe, 40% of his health. So I need to use one every 8 days. If you don't have the upgrade, you need to use one every 4 days in order to keep him up. I could use one now, but that would be a total waste kinda, because the other 35% would just go into nothing. How do you prevent that from happening if you, for example, take a longer break or don't want to bother with that or can't afford any stabilizers? Ain't he cute how he wants to play with me? Well, in this case you go to Stasis and put your Kubrow in Stasis. In this case he will be frozen, you can't use him for missions anymore, but he will also not lose any of his health, which is great. So the question is, why would you want to consign your Kubrow? Well, you only have a limited amount of slots. I think initially you only have 1 or 2. I have a couple more, as you can see. This is all the Kubrows I ever got. I have not consigned a single one yet. And an extra slots cost you 10 platinum. So if you want a new Kubrow and can't afford any more slots, you might have to sell your old ones, unfortunately. Also, if you put a Kubrow in Stasis, you can't get him out instantly again. I will show you that. If I put it into Stasis, it tells you he will not decay loyalty or DNA integrity. Puppies do not mature while in stasis, so yes, if you get a new Kubrow, you have to wait for it to mature first, which takes a day or two, I think, aside from hatching. And the recovery from stasis takes 30 minutes if you have the upgrade installed. If not, it is 3 hours. So am I sure that I want to do that? Yes, I will do that right now just to show you what happens then. So we will lay down, the thing will cover him up, and then in a second the egg that I still have ready for breeding if I'd want to comes back up, because I still have 2 eggs. Also here you can see all the requirements in order to even be able to breed a Kubrow. You need an incubator power core, you need an egg, and you need an open stasis slot for that. And not have an active Kubrow. So now I go to the stasis and I want to get my beloved Kubrow back. So I choose him here, Silas. I choose remove from stasis. Are you sure that you want to do that? You can only have 1 active Kubrow at a time. I'm sorry, yes I do. So the whole thing closes again, and there he is once again. Thing is, when I go to stasis, he is not active yet. But I can rush it for 10,000 credits. When you do not have the upgrade, it costs platinum, I'm not sure how much. So either wait 3 hours then or pay platinum. If you have the upgrade, it's half an hour or 10,000 credits, which is very much affordable. So the upgrade by me is highly recommended, especially since, according to the description, it will also, ain't he cute, it will also put him automatically into stasis if he would otherwise die, which is great. So you see there's 2 more tabs up here. The one is breeding, which you need to breed new Kubrows, and genetic tools. The genetic tools tab is used to create an imprint of your Kubrow, which you can then trade with other players or use yourself. The reason why you do that is, this way the person, whoever you give it to, can make sure that their Kubrow becomes a certain breed. For example, Silas is a Zahaza Kubrow, so if I were to make 2 imprints of him and give it to someone else, they are guaranteed his breed, so that the Kubrow they are getting is a Zahaza, and they are guarantees his default fur pattern. They are not guaranteed his body type, because there's 3 different types, which is small, normal, and tall, in various kinds of sizes as well. There is slim ones, normal build ones, and fairly fat Kubrows. Silas is double normal height and normal body build. So the size of the Kubrow will vary and is not dependent on breed. So those imprints I will quickly show you. I have still 1 from Silas left, as you can see here, and I have 2 from another Kubrow of mine, which is a chaser, which was recently added, and I still have them because this is an imprint that I want to give to a friend once he's able to get into the game again. So that's something that I just like to do, and the thing is, if I give this to someone else, they have their Kubrow, and then they can just make 2 imprints again and give them back to me, and I have not lost anything, which is great. Also, the gender of your Kubrow is random as well. Silas is a male, and I have a couple also that are females, not too many though. As you can see, here's a female, there's another female, there's a female, there's another. Well, actually they are almost half and half. Anyway, never mind. So this is how the whole Kubrow breeding and taking care of them works. Some people hate it, I personally like it, but that's also because how could you not like something so cute and fluffy and so on. He has his armor at the moment, but that's just because I kinda like this armor, which is how I got it for him. So this is the first part of the Orbiter covered. We have talked about the Foundry, we have talked about the mods a bit, and we have talked about Kubrows. And next time we will finally get to talk about the arsenal, about equipping stuff, about how you upgrade it, and how you choose what you want to use for the next mission. So as always, I hope that this video was helpful for you and that you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave me a thumbs up. If not, then, well, why are you still watching anyway if you did not enjoy it? Also, you are more than welcome to leave me a comment, and as usual, if you do not want to miss the next video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because there's a couple more tutorials coming, as well as eventually other Let's Plays of other games. XCOM 2 is coming in less than 2 weeks, and I will definitely be playing that. Well, either way, I hope that you all have a good day, and that I will hopefully see you again next time. This was me, Drennon, with a Warframe tutorial. More to come. Hoping to see you then again. Bye!